Well, it's one of Netflix's most popular series ever. I'm a big fan, and now season 4 of The Crown has begun, set in the 1980s. It brings a string of new characters, such as Princess Diana, who is utterly beguiling, and former British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, and some of the most explosive and intriguing plot lines yet.
You have a brand new cabinet.
I have.
Mostly older ministers that were culled.
Yes, although it wasn't just their age that decided it.
Rather,
their background, mostly, and lack of grit, as a consequence of their privilege and entitlement.
Always a mistake to assume just because people are privileged, they lack grit. And a dangerous game, I think, to make enemies left, right, and centre.
Not if one is comfortable with having enemies.
Are you?
Oh, yes.
Well, I love the series, and back in 1985, I was actually privileged enough to dance with Princess Diana at the birthright ball at the Albert Hall. Just myself, Diana, her brother Charlie, and my wife. And I can vouch for you the superb casting of Emma Corrin in the role of Princess Diana. She's every bit as charismatic as the real thing. She's superb. But Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, well, less so. Gillian Armstrong has the voice and the mannerisms down pat, but not really the character of the Iron Lady. Indeed, some of those who have worked closely with the late Prime Minister say the show is highly politicised and does not do justice to Margaret Thatcher's legacy. Joining me now is a former aide to Margaret Thatcher, Nile Gardiner, living now in Washington, D.C. Niall, welcome to Credlin.
Thanks very much, Rowan. Thank you.
So, Niall, thanks for joining us. You've seen all 10 episodes of Season 4 of The Crown. Spoiler alert, don't give too much away, but what did you make of it, Niall?
Well, I have to say that, the fourth season of The Crown is tremendous storytelling. It's very well made. It's compelling television with tremendous cinematography, production design, acting, etc. And as you mentioned, Emma Corrin, who plays Lady Diana, does an absolutely superb job, as does the rest of the cast. And I have to say as well that Gillian Anderson, who portrays Margaret Thatcher in this, does actually overall a very good job in terms of her performance. She gets Lady Thatcher's voice largely right, her mannerisms, her way of walking, etc. So I think that The Crown does pretty well overall, but I think at the same time there are quite a few flaws with the depiction of Margaret Thatcher, and also there is a distinctly sort of left-wing political bent to the show as well in terms of its interpretation of Thatcherism and its impact on Britain. So overall, I'd say it's very, very mixed, actually. There's some very good scenes involving Margaret Thatcher. There are also some bad ones as well. So I think it's very much a sort of, mixed approach from the makers of The Crown.
And it's pretty clear, isn't it, Niall, that Britain today is far, far better off than it was in the dreadful Callaghan, Heath, Wilson era prior to Margaret Thatcher. She did so much. She made it a dynamic economy. Do you think the makers of The Crown, I mean, as, all of Hollywood, they're clearly of the left. Do you think they really understand Thatcher's legacy and understand Thatcher and her policies?
I think that clearly, some of the writers on The Crown are not big fans of Thatcherism, and that's certainly conveyed in 2 or 3 of the episodes in season 4. And I think that clearly some of the writers here do not grasp the huge significance of Margaret Thatcher's period in office. And Margaret Thatcher turned Britain around from the sick man of Europe into the economic powerhouse of Europe. And Britain was literally on its knees in the late 1970s, and Margaret Thatcher really saved Britain from, what was viewed at the time as inevitable decline. So she turned the UK around, and the United Kingdom today is a vastly more self-confident nation than it was in the 1970s. And the Socialist Labour Party, of course, ran Britain into the ground in the 70s. And Margaret Thatcher said, enough is enough. And she said that she would not accept the idea of British decline. And she won 3 general elections in a row. She did not lose a single general election. She was ousted, of course, by the Wets, the left wing of the Conservative Party, in part over Europe. But her overall achievements were absolutely spectacular. And Great Britain owes the Iron Lady a huge debt of gratitude today.
I couldn't agree with you more. In one of the scenes in The Crown, we get this kind of conflict, Margaret clashing with the Queen. There's this idea that these two powerful women didn't really like each other, didn't get on. Do you think this is a realistic representation of their relationship? And also tell us about your relationship with Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah, so actually, I don't think that, the Crown's interpretation of the dynamic between Margaret Thatcher and the Queen is accurate, actually, because I do think that as the 2 most powerful women in the world in the 1980s, there was actually a very, very close working relationship between Margaret Thatcher and the Queen. It was not adversarial in any way. Lady Thatcher had a huge respect for the Queen. And it is very significant that the Queen actually attended Lady Thatcher's 80th birthday party, which I also attended, actually. I had the opportunity to meet with the Queen then. And it was very unusual, of course, for the Queen to attend a politician's birthday celebration. And so that was a demonstration of the fact that the Queen, I think, had a very, very good working relationship with Margaret Thatcher. I think the 2 leaders got on very well. They were both tremendously dedicated to serving the British people, to advancing the greatness of the British nation. And I think that the Queen is creating, in a fictionalized manner, some kind of tension between Margaret Thatcher and the Queen, which simply did not exist. And certainly, Lady Thatcher always spoke extremely highly of the Queen and the monarchy. She was not dismissive at all in any way of the monarchy. And I think that, the Queen had tremendous respect as well for Margaret Thatcher. So, I think a tremendous amount of mutual respect between the 2. But the Crown creates some kind of adversarial relationship which simply did not exist.
Now, just quickly, Niall, before we go, question without notice. What do you think Margaret Thatcher would make of Boris Johnson today? Her replacement now in the head of the Conservative government, rushing around with eco policies and all sorts of Orwellian lockdowns. What do you think Margaret Thatcher would make of today's Conservative Party Tories, Niall?
She would be critical of some aspects of today's Conservative Party, which is very different to the Conservative Party of the 1980s. But at the same time, she would have mightily cheered Brexit. And she would have greatly supported Boris Johnson's effort, his drive and determination to see the UK freed from the shackles of the European Union.
Absolutely.
And Margaret Thatcher, of course, laid the foundations for Brexit. And she would have hugely celebrated Britain's exit from the European Union.
Absolutely. Niall Gardiner, so great to chat to you. Thanks so much with your thoughts on The Crown, Margaret Thatcher and Princess Di. Thanks so much, mate.
Thanks very much.